You ever stop to think about how weird it would be if everyone around you had an expiration date, but you didn't? Like, forget Fountain of Youth stories. What if you alone got the cosmic lottery ticket to stick around for 1,000 years, while the rest of humanity keeps playing musical chairs with mortality? Now imagine waking up one morning and some scientist in a lab coat tells you they've cracked it. You're the chosen one. Not because you're special, but because you happen to be patient zero in the right clinical trial at the right time. Congratulations. You're about to become the universe's longest running experiment. Here's where it gets interesting. The first 100 years, probably pretty sweet. You're watching your investments compound like nobody's business. That savings account you opened when interest rates were decent, it's now funding small nations. You've got time to master every hobby, learn every language, perfect every recipe. But then everyone you went to school with starts dying. Your childhood best friend, your first love, that annoying coworker who always microwaved fish in the office, all gone. And you're still here, looking like you're in your 30s, trying to explain to your great-great-great-grandchildren why you can't just get with the times. Think about the identity crisis alone. You'd have to fake your own death every few decades just to avoid suspicion. New name, new city, new backstory. You're basically running a one-person witness protection program, except the crime is not dying. How do you even maintain friendships when you have to ghost everyone every 50 years? And relationships? Forget about it. You meet someone amazing, fall in love, build a life together, then you watch them age while you stay frozen in time like some cruel reverse Dorian Gray situation. Do you tell them up front? Hey, I really like you, but fair warning, I'm gonna look exactly like this when you're using a walker. That's a fun second date conversation. The loneliness would hit different too. Not just missing people, but missing entire eras. You'd remember when the internet didn't exist, when you actually had to talk to humans to get information. You'd be the only person alive who viscerally remembers what it felt like before smartphones ruined everything. Everyone else would think you're exaggerating about the good old days. Here's the kicker though, knowledge becomes your currency. You'd accumulate so much information, so many skills, that you'd basically become a walking encyclopedia. Want to know what really happened in history? Ask the person who was actually there. Suddenly, you're the most valuable resource on the planet, and not necessarily in a fun way. Governments would want to study you. Billionaires would want to buy your secret. Religious groups would either worship you or try to burn you at the stake, depending on their interpretation of divine will. You'd spend half your immortality just trying to stay hidden from people who want to either dissect you or exploit you. And let's talk about watching the world change. You'd see entire political systems rise and fall. You'd witness technological revolutions that make the internet look like a party trick. Climate shifts, cultural movements, architectural trends, all of it washing over you like waves while you stand still on the shore. Sometimes thrilling, sometimes terrifying, always lonely. The paradox is that time would somehow feel both infinite and impossibly short. A decade would pass like a summer vacation. You'd blink and miss entire generations. Wait, hover cars are already outdated? I swear, those just came out. The acceleration would be dizzying. Money stops meaning what it used to mean. You've had centuries to accumulate wealth, to game every system, to see every economic pattern repeat itself. You could probably crash markets just by sharing what you know. But what do you even spend it on when everything feels temporary except you? You develop the strangest hobbies just to fill the time. Maybe you spend a century perfecting underwater basket weaving. Maybe you collect incredibly specific things, like subway tokens from cities that no longer exist. Normal people have midlife crises. You'd have century-life crises every 100 years like clockwork. The technological learning curve alone would be exhausting. Just when you've mastered one era's tools, everything changes. You learn to code in punch cards, then BASIC, then Python, then whatever quantum computing language they invent in the 23rd century. You're perpetually the old person struggling with new tech, except you look young and people just think you're incompetent. And imagine the guilt. Every medical breakthrough that could have saved someone you loved comes too late for them, but just in time for strangers you'll outlive anyway. You'd carry around 1,000 years of if-only moments. If only they discovered that cure 10 years earlier. If only you'd convinced them to wait. Your perspective on mortality would be completely warped. Death stops being this abstract fear and becomes this concrete thing you watch happen over and over. You'd probably get weirdly casual about it, which would freak people out. Oh, your grandma died? Yeah, that happens. I've had like 70 grandmas die at this point. Culture would become this strange loop for you. Fashion trends you saw the first time around would come back as retro while you're standing there thinking, I literally wore that exact outfit in 1987 and it was ugly then too. Nothing feels new anymore because you've seen every idea recycled 3 times. The existential weight of it all would be crushing. What's the point of achieving anything when you have infinite time to do it? Why rush? But also, why bother? You'd probably oscillate between frantic productivity and complete apathy, never quite finding balance because balance requires an endpoint. Let's be real though, you'd probably become incredibly weird. 1,000 years of inside jokes no one else gets, references to things that don't exist anymore, slang from 12 different centuries, all mixed together in your speech patterns. You'd be the human equivalent of a corrupted computer file, just glitching through conversations. And here's a twist nobody talks about. You'd have to watch humanity either save itself or destroy itself, and you'd be powerless to control which direction it goes. You could warn people about patterns you've seen, but would they listen? Probably not. They never do. So you're stuck being Cassandra, cursed with knowledge nobody wants. But maybe, just maybe, there's something beautiful buried in all that tragedy. You'd become the ultimate witness to human resilience. You'd see us fail spectacularly and then pick ourselves back up. You'd watch art evolve, watch love persist despite everything, watch people find joy in the smallest moments across centuries. You'd be the keeper of stories that would otherwise be lost. The funny thing your friend said in 2010 that made you laugh until you cried. The way the sunset looked on a random Tuesday in 2063, the taste of a food that doesn't exist anymore because the recipe was lost. All of it preserved in your memory, like a museum of moments. Still, at the end of those 1,000 years, when whatever made you immortal finally wears off and you get to rest, you probably feel relief. Because living that long isn't actually living, it's surviving. And survival, it turns out, is exhausting. That's the price of the ultimate gift. You get to see everything, experience everything, know everything, but you have to do it alone, carrying the weight of 1,000 years while everyone else gets to travel light. Makes you wonder if immortality is really a blessing or just the world's longest punishment. But hey, at least you'd have some incredible stories to tell. Too bad there'd be nobody left who'd believe you.